Hey guys, Sheena here with Home Gardens. It is February the 16th, 2026, and today we're going to be planting some okra in the high tunnel. And yes, I know it's winter. I wasn't planning on doing a video when I came out here. I was really just going to go ahead and water and get some lettuce harvested to go with dinner tonight, but then I realized I need to go ahead and get this okra in the ground. So I don't have my mic, so I really hope that you guys are able to hear me, and also don't have my camera. This is my phone today, so let's hope that everything works out well, or else I'm going to end up scrapping this and just telling you about it in the newsletter. We have planted some Swiss chard on a row that I'm going to show you in just a second. We've planted Swiss chard on this row, and this particular variety, I cannot remember, oh, True Leaf. I've planted it before and I've not had any problems with it, but this time it's taking a while for it to come up, which I find really unusual because Swiss chard is not usually that slow for me in the high tunnel. If I direct sow it in here, it usually comes up really quickly with the moisture and humidity levels, so I'm kind of thrown back a little bit, but considering how long it's taking for it to come up, it is gonna need a little bit of shade and some help as the summer progresses. So what I've decided to do is to plant my okra along my early okra. I'm gonna do another tray actually today as well, but I'm gonna plant it sporadically along this row. As the okra grows, it'll provide some shade to the Swiss chard as it continues to grow. I also have some Swiss chard that I started indoors in trays, in the Bootstrap Farmer air prune trays. And so after we see how everything has come up with this, because I see it was the Ruby Red and the Ford Hook Giant that we planted along here. And I see it sporadically on both sides of the row where Ty did it. But I don't know if maybe we planted it a little bit too deep or what. But like I said, the germination has been pretty sporadic so far. So we're going to go ahead and look into the future, knowing that this is almost the middle of the high tunnel. I'm standing in the middle. That is the middle of it here. This is the hottest zone of the high tunnel. So things that are planted here need to be able to withstand the heat, or I need to have a plan to help it withstand the heat. So my plan is going to be to plant this okra, and then as the okra grows, and some of the okra that we're going to be planting is our motherland okra. And if you'll remember, the motherland okra has really big leaves, and we like to eat those as well. But okra in general just has really nice big leaves, but the motherland okra is humongous. And because this is also very close to the highest point in the high tunnel, it's also going to allow the okra a nice space to grow. Now we don't want it to the roof. We don't want to do that. But if it should decide to, it can. So over there we have some carrots, and I'm actually supposed to be interplanting some things there too, but we'll come back to that on another video. But here is where we are, and let's see if I can zoom in for you. There's some of the chard there. It's coming up. It's coming up. It's coming up more so on that right side of the drip tape than the left. So I'm wondering if the drip tape might have gotten shifted some kind of way. But either way, it is coming up. Let me show you the okra that we're going to be planting. Oh yeah, see, there's some more right there too. Yeah, so it's coming up. I'm happy to see. I was worried, like, is it ever gonna come up? But y'all, look at the celery. This celery is I'm so excited about this celery. Like, oh, I did plant some more celery outside, but I don't know what it was about the area. And look at this lettuce. This is some of what I'm going to be harvesting this evening right there below the kale. And this isn't supposed to be a tour video because there's really not much to show, but here, this kale here from the beginning of this row here all the way down to there, I harvested from that kale yesterday and picked the kale off of the stems, chopped the stems, and had them cook in the broth that we freeze dried for about 5 minutes before adding the leaves, and then added the leaves and then just kind of let it simmer with the lid on for like 15 minutes. When I say it was so good, y'all. It was so good. And that extra little confidence boost you get when you know you grew it homegrown. Yeah. Okay, back to the kale. No, Swiss chard. Peppers. Okra. There we go. Got the right word. All right, so these are the okra plants that we're going to be planting. And honestly, I don't know if I want to plant all of them. Maybe just the biggest ones here. Where's my labels? Some of these were... Okay, so these 1, 2, 3, 4 here are all motherland. 1, 2, 3, 4, all motherland, and the others are, gosh, I didn't put a label on them because I made notes. I gotta go back and check my note. I'll pop it up here somewhere so you can see what these others are. So now I want to decide. I think I'm gonna do the motherland one in here for sure. All of these. I think I have some more save seeds that I could also do with these, like if I wanted to do some more for outdoors. Gosh, I really do need to see what this is. And I need to spray the words will not come. Ah! What is the name of the stuff? Clanolin clay. There it is. I need to spray these all with clanolin clay for aphids because that is the worst on okra in the high tunnel. It's one of the reasons I said I would never do it again, but then I realized that was dumb because okra grows really well in here because of the heat and the humidity, and so it's like pick your battles type thing. So I could go ahead and dip these in the clanolin clay ahead of time. But I don't have my supplies out here. So I'm going to go ahead and plant them. And then I'm going to come back tomorrow and spray them. Because I have an appointment that I have to get to today. So, this is going to be just real quick, get this done. Okay. So I have my handy dandy scooper thingamabobber here. I'm going to see. Let me count. I have 5 motherland okra, 5, 6, 7. Let's do 10 or 12. And so what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to go down the row in between where I see existing chard coming up. Is that a chard or is that a weed? That's a weed. Coming up. And the way this works is you just literally push it into the ground like so. Like that. It pulls the dirt out. And then you squeeze the handle like so. And, oh, well, you're supposed to squeeze the handle like so. There we go, yeah. And it drops the dirt. I'm going to dig these holes and I'm going to come back and I'll put some coop grow in these holes, okay? Alright, so you don't need to see me do this, but I'll show you one more time. So, there's some right there coming up. You can see the red stems. That's how we know it's chard, because I haven't planted anything else in here with a red stem. And so we're going to go, oh, there's some yellow there too, so she must have mixed them and then planted. So this particular one, I'm going to go over here on this side of the row. And then we're gonna squeeze and drop our dirt. Okay, and that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and do this a few more times down the road. I'll be right back. Okay, so two things. I decided to do these two together. Like I said, one is gonna provide shade for the other. The thing about okra though is a heavy feeder, and so I was gonna do the coop grow initially, but it's only a 3-2-2, I believe, a 3-3-4. And I feel like with both of those plants being there and both of them requiring decent feeding, I think I need to do something a little stronger. So I'm going to go with the Tomato and Vegetable by Whitney Farms. Now I have one that's a little stronger than this one, but it's in the house. I was using it for potting up some cabbages or something the other day, and I never brought it back out here. So we're gonna do this 7, 6, 9 in all of the holes. Let me show you. All right, so these are our holes all the way down, and you've watched me do this before, and so you know I'm not measuring or anything. I did do more holes than absolutely necessary, just because I remembered that I had some red burgundy okra as well that I could also use, so I did extra holes. They are in another tray. I'll show you in a bit, but I'm just going to continue that process all the way down. The holes the holes are now dug and filled with fertilizer. Now I'm just going to lay the plants out. Let me show you the root development on these. Do the first 5 will all be motherland. Look at that, fairly decent. I thought that I did extra holes, but I can't count, obviously. There is no rhyme or reason to this spacing. It's just literally me avoiding the Swiss chard to the best of my ability. Now, as I was digging these holes out, I did see some that had popped up that had began to germinate, but we planted enough here to where it'll be fine. Now, as for how we're going to plant these, fire ants are so bad this year. I really should have on my gloves right now. Gonna put a little dirt in there right on top of that fertilizer, and then like so. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm gonna pull these weeds here, although I think some of that was plantain there. So I'll put this label here, and I really gotta look into my notes and see what that other one was. Okay, let me grab these weeds. What is that? That looks like arugula. All right, boom. So I'm gonna go down the row and finish doing the rest of them. I realized I went through that kind of quick. I am sorry. I wanted to come back through and just show you again what I did. All right, so that's my hole. I put just a little bit of dirt over the fertilizer. You don't have to, just a habit I have. And then this is where my plant level is from previous planting. Right there, I'm gonna go up a little bit higher, but I'm not gonna go all the way up to the leaves. And I'm gonna make sure that I push the dirt down very tightly around the base of the plant. We don't want to get air pockets. Remember, we talked about this in our last video with up potting. This is equally important when you are putting your plants in the ground. So let's do that one more time. All right, we have our plant here that we've thrown. I literally just threw it into the hole. There's our fertilizer in the hole. You can see it there when I came through and did that. All right, so I'm just gonna, I won't cover this one, so you see it doesn't really matter. I am gonna tamp that down some. This soil is really loose because we've been working on it for so long. And here's my clump of dirt that came out. Push down. Be careful not to break your stem. I have done that, being too aggressive. Now, this one wasn't as tall as the others, so it went down a bit further into the ground, but I'm gonna stop there because I don't want to go up too far. And there, it's done. Okay, okra is a heat loving plant. Okay, it likes it hot, y'all. And the hotter and the more humid it gets, the only problem is you may have some flowers fall off if it gets like too hot and there's not enough moisture. You may have problems with your blossoms falling off before they can pollinate. But for the most part, okra is gonna give it to you all season long. Some pests to look out for with your okra are always here are gonna be aphids. And then the ants will mine the sugar sappy stuff. I'll put the name of it up here. And so you'll have an issue with ants and aphids simultaneously. If you start seeing ants, which is usually the way it happens, you will see the ants before you see the aphids. Then know you're about to have an issue. The clanolin clay that I mentioned earlier will help with that early in the season, but later in the season it can become so overwhelming that you will need to use some type of soapy spray or hand removal. And what I have found about okra is that better to like give it a good deep watering, a couple of times a week rather than even once a week, because it is drought tolerant. It's better to do that than to like barely water it every day. What can happen if you're not careful too with okra when it comes to the watering, your pods can start to kind of get like really odd shape and even tough if you're not consistent enough with the watering. So enough water consistently. Now, obviously you see this drip tape here. So even though I prefer to overhead water my okra, having it in the hot tunnel is gonna be on the drip irrigation. And the drip irrigation during the summer is about 30 minutes in the morning and then another 30 minutes in the evening. And that tends to be enough on average for everything. There are some things that probably could do with less. There are some things that could probably do a little more. But since each one of these rows are all on the same pump and I need to add extra equipment to create zones, this is how it's going to be for now. We talked briefly earlier about fertilizing, and this fertilizer that I'm using here is almost balanced. It's like a 769. Those numbers are pretty close together. And if you didn't know, those numbers that are on the fertilizing bags that you may buy from the store, it's the NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium levels. These are essential for most plants to grow healthy, vibrant. The order of how you give those nutrients is also important, especially for plants that are going to give you flowers. Obviously, if it's got any green on it, it's going to need some sort of nitrogen. But if you give too much nitrogen when you're planting your flowering or fruiting plants like eggplant, okra, peppers, then you're going to just get a lot of leaves. And it's going to take a longer time for you to actually get flowers, which rely more heavily on that middle number, the phosphorus and the potassium. And then it's just going to mean, even though we planted this early in the season, we could still basically screw ourselves up if we fed this too much nitrogen. So don't give your okras, your eggplant, your peppers, don't give them like a 12-0-0 or a 14-0-0 like you would get in, say, blood meal. But you're going to want something that's, those numbers need to be fairly close together. So like I said, in this case, we're using a tomato vegetable fertilizer, which was a 769. Those numbers are pretty close together. Could be better, but this is what I had on hand. This is what I'm going to work with. So just be careful about that. You know, word to the wise, I've done it before, and it's just so aggravating. Look at those tomatoes all the way up to the roof of your hot tunnel, and you're like, whoa, am I ever going to get any flowers? It really sucks. And just like that, we have planted the first round of okra for the 26 growing season. And I just have to say that I feel like this is the earliest I've ever put it into the ground. I'd have to verify that with my notes to be sure. Just for fun, I am going to plant a couple outside of the hot tunnel because I don't see any more freezing temps. What is old man Winter doing, and why are he and the groundhog trying to sabotage me? On the real, I knew this was going to be a risk, and immediately after I planted this okra, the next day I got this notification from a friend, and now this video is going to take an interesting turn. Let me show you how we're planning on protecting our tomatoes and our okra while we have a couple of nights of freezing to below freezing temperatures. These are called plant cloches, and honestly these have gotten damaged, but I can show you how they work. It's just some plastic that we're going to sit on top of the tomatoes and the okra plants. You can also do this with a 2-liter Pepsi bottle, a 16-ounce water bottle. You could even do it with a glass mason jar if you wanted to. You would just have to make sure you got out here pretty quickly when the temperatures went up to get that removed. So I'll just show you how we put it on. And boom, just like that. Now they do have holes on the sides, 2 sides of them on opposite, where if you had like a plant stapler or a stake, you could secure it in, like if it was outside and it was windy or something, you didn't want it to get knocked over. They do have these breathing points at the top, where with this particular one, I'll have to rush back out when the temperatures go up because it is getting some air. But also if it's like well below freezing, you're going to want to put some tape over that because it's going to need that extra layer of protection. And boom, that's all we're going to do. Actually, after closing the hot tunnel up, the temperature should be warm enough in here. We're 30 degrees, 31 degrees, 32, even like a 29. These plants should be okay. But with us, we're always going to go for the abundance of caution just to be on the safe side. Now, I never did get those planted outside, so I am going to do that today. I'm going to plant 2 okra plants outside in a raised bed area, and then at that point I will, when the freezing temperatures come, I will protect them with these or either a 2-liter bottle, and I will make sure that it is secured because it being outdoors, the animals, the wind, things like that, it can be an issue. So that is that. Thanks for watching, and don't let the temperatures scare you too much. We're at that time of year where there's quite a bit of inconsistencies. I'm watching lizards right now run around in the hot tunnel, and it's February, it's winter. We just gotta go with the flow and remain adaptable and find different ways to grow big from home despite the weather. This has been Sheena with another fun adventure. Catch you on the next video.